welcome back to Pommyinoz. I hope we're all doing well and everyone is staying safe. Obviously, we've got round 5 this week of the AFLW preview show, and it is well over halfway of the women's game. We've had the men return to work as well, so we are in the midst of a footy fest. If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe. It really does help the channel out, and it just lets me know I'm not talking to a camera for pure banter. So last week we did really well, getting a staggering 6 out of 7. Some people said I was mad. I picked a few shocks, getting one wrong. We're getting ever closer because that takes our season tally to 24 results right out of 29. And we've got another tasty week, so let's get into it. We start off on tonight with GMHBA at 7:10. Geelong Cats entertain the Richmond Tiger Girls. And we're at the start of Indigenous round, and there's some sick Guernseys out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing this one. Richmond last week against Carlton, they put up a great fight. Monique Conte, for me, is still top 3 in this competition, and she was brilliant. They've got a really solid team there. Katie Brennan as well, winding back the years. And you've also got Wakefield there, and I think that's going to be just too much for the Cats. The Cats, obviously, they lost just under by 30 to St Kilda, 29-point loss that was. And it looks bad. Their entry's inside 50. I don't think they can put enough scoreboard pressure on. And to me, this is Richmond's first win. I'm going to lock that away. I reckon Richmond will do this quite easily as well. I reckon this could be about 15 plus by Richmond. I think they've just got too much quality around the ground. And it's them inside 50s. Geelong are decent in the midfield. Not so bad down the back, but if you can't put the scoreboard pressure on in this game, you ain't winning games. Richmond all the way for me. Then Saturday afternoon, we're at Whitton Oval, the Doggies versus GWS. Now, the Doggies, they were brilliant last week. I said they'd beat Melbourne, and they did. And what really impresses me about the Doggies is they find a way to win. They've got so many ways to hurt you. They can hurt you on the outside. They can play corridor footy. They've got good pressure. They tick all the boxes. Blackburn is having a season, isn't she, as well? GWS, they've got Parker. They've got some very good players in and around that midfield. But for me, it's away from home. How will they struggle? They did do well against the Eagles, but to me, although they dominated most of the start lines, it wasn't the most comprehensive victory against really the whipping girls of this competition. I think this is going to be a job too much for the GWS Giants. I think the Doggies will get this done at a canter. I'm going to tip the Doggies here, 15 plus. Then in the evening we go to Freo Oval. Fremantle host the Lions, and this is an absolute belting tie on paper. Fremantle, they were dominant in the second term against the Gold Coast Suns. They really did show that when they go through the motions, they're very tough to beat. You look at them, Fremantle, and they are a very solid side. You've got Houghton there. You've got a plethora of stars. They have got talent in and around the ground. And for me, Fremantle are one of the teams to beat in this competition. Brisbane, we know all about them. Real high energy. They had a bit of a blip, and that really did cost them against Adelaide last week. In the first quarter, they did a lot of work to do. But on their day, they're a free-flowing team. They don't kick 40 points because they're rubbish. They do it because they're a very dangerous side. It's a real good matchup, this, for me. Styles make fights. You've got a really aggressive forward line. It's going to really test Freo's backline because Freo's backline is very solid. They dominate around the ground, Fremantle. They ain't going to have that luxury against Brisbane because Brisbane are going to match them. However, I will say Fremantle should have enough in their arsenal to put Brisbane away. I'm going to say 1-10 Fremantle. Be a great game though, this. Make sure you tune in. Then we go to Tasmania in the evening. North Melbourne face my girls, Carlton. Now, North Melbourne will be very disappointed last week. Their lowest total in AFL history. Collingwood just really set the benchmark from the week before when North Melbourne lost. And it is that pressure and then using the width of the ground. Transition football can get them. If you can stifle their forward line with intense pressure, you've got half a chance. And when I look at Carlton and I look at how they played last week, there was a few little blips. They're missing, obviously, Maddie Prespakis, which is a huge one. They have got the ability. Their game plan natively should offset North's quite well when they play well. This is a tough one to pick because North are wounded at the moment. Carlton are wounded because they're missing their best player. It's going to be a very intriguing matchup, and it's hard to see where to go in this one. I think the money, though, would say North Melbourne, and I'm going to stick with that. I think North Melbourne should. I can't see them losing 3 on the bounce. I think last week was the wake-up call they needed. I think Tasmania is a tough place to go at the best of times. When you're missing a star like Maddie Prespakis, it's even worse. I hate to do it, but I reckon North Melbourne will get the job done here, 1-10. Sunday afternoon, then, we're at Adelaide, Norwood Oval. Adelaide hosts St Kilda, and this should be a great game. This is literally a great game on paper. Now, last week, the story is Erin Phillips, isn't she? There's been a lot of doubters in the last couple of weeks about her, and she was just ridiculous. 21 touches, 8 marks, 4 goals. She's in form, and I think when you've got someone like that in form, it's tough. St Kilda, they got a 29-point win against Geelong, as we've discussed. They look really good. They scored really well. You've got G-Train there. She is an absolute phenomenal, and she's going to have to really fire. To me, though, this is going to be a real tough game for them. Even with Patriarchos and co, it's tough because Adelaide have got so much talent around the ground. Ebony Marinhoff, the list goes on. It's a tough outfit, especially at Adelaide. I want to tip St Kilda, but I just think that the Crows just have got too much experience, too much skill, move the ball too well. The gap is much. Adelaide will win this by 20 plus. Then we go to Vic Park, Collingwood versus Melbourne. Now, Collingwood have really impressed me. Molly is brilliant. You've got Livingston down the back. She's an absolute granite rock down there. Really impressive last time out as well. Absolutely destroyed North. Melbourne, on the other hand, they ain't easy to surprise. They've got talent around the ground. Their half-back line can really hurt you. And Melbourne are just very good. Very good. They're a good team. They don't rely on it. Now, Brianna Davies, she's going to be a threat for Melbourne. She can really unlock the key. However, I just think when I look at the Melbourne team, when you've got players like Paxman, Pearce, they can just hurt you, and they use the ball so well. And Collingwood's pressure is going to have to be really on point, and they're going to have to move the ball quickly. I just don't think they can continue this run, and it could be wrong, but I'm going to tip Melbourne here. I think Melbourne will win by 1-10. When I watch Melbourne play, they just know how to play and do the right thing. And I think that experience around the ground is just going to pay them dividends. Finally, Sunday 5:10, West Coast entertain Gold Coast. Now, this is going to be an intriguing battle because obviously both sides have struggled. Now, West Coast, they've shown probably a bit more than Gold Coast in recent weeks. They really do start well, and it's about having that intensity. Gold Coast, they can be competitive, but once goals start mounting up, the pressure tells on them. One thing that worries me about Gold Coast is although they give it a go, it's just that interim from midfield to the forward line isn't there. There isn't the link, there isn't the cog. I think the West Coast Eagles at home will just be too much for the Suns. I think West Coast will chalk up their first win of 2021. I reckon they'll win this one by 10 plus, and that will be that. They're my tips for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know in the comments your tips. We're going for that illustrious full house. Let's see if we can get it this week. Until next time, have a great weekend. I'm out.